Hi, I'm Amy and today I'm going to be dip dyeing some yarn in this dye, Sweet Pea from Dharma Trading. This is a fibre reactive dye which can be used on animal protein such as the wool which I'm going to be used, and it can also be used on plant-based yarns as well such as cotton. I've made up a solution here with the dye. It's best to dissolve your powder dye in water before you add it to your dye pot. Now all the equipment I'm using today is dedicated for dyeing, so I don't use it for cooking. Let's take this off. The water is nice and hot now. So I'm going to add in my solution, making sure all in there. Now I've used 1 gram of dye and dissolved in 100 milliliters of water, which makes a 1% stock solution, 1% solution. You can see the water is nice and warm. I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of vinegar, and if I need any more later on I can add some more. Now this vinegar helps to set the dye to the wool. Now just start dip dyeing. I've got 100 grams of 4-ply yarn, which is a blend of superwash merino, tussah silk and silver stellina. This is a nice pale colour so far. It's very pretty. So I'm just bringing it in and out of the water to try and get as much of the dye onto the yarn as possible. Now, hoping to get a faded effect, so there'll be more dye in the bottom of the yarn than there is at the top. You can see I don't know if you can see on their camera, but I can see here the dye bath is starting to clear, which is great. That's what I want. Yeah, it's definitely a darker pink at the bottom. Now, this yarn had been soaking in just plain tap water you need to do this to help. It helps the dye more evenly spread out through the yarn if it's wet than if it's dry. So, oops, almost all cleared. I'm going to stick the top in now. Now you can see I've got my gloves on, so I won't get any dye on my fingers, but you can see here I've got the top, not much, and then this was near the bottom where there's a lot more dye there. So I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to leave this on a low heat for about 10 minutes, and then I'll come back and check, see if all the dye has cleared into the yarn. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes now. So let's see how this is doing. Yeah, it looks to me like all of the dye has absorbed to the yarn, which is great, which is what we want. And it still looks like we've got a nice dip dye effect there, fade effect. So I'm going to turn this off and just leave everything to cool. Once the yarn is completely cool, I'll be able to wash it in the sink, and then we'll hang it out to dry. Here is our finished dip dyed yarn. It goes from this lovely sort of dusty pink all the way to this very pale pink at the top. Now there is a bit of colour there. You can see here's a bare skein of yarn next to that, the palest side. You can see there is a hint of colour, which is what I was going for. I wanted there to be a slight hint of colour at one end and it to be really dark at the other. I'm so happy with how this has turned out. if we zoom in a little bit, get a bit closer, you can see this beautiful sparkle that runs all the way through the yarn. I think just love that extra sparkle, makes yarn just that little bit more special, I think. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it.